Hey everyone, it's Coeval here. We are going to go over the patch notes for 7.2. The test server is out now, and I was waiting for the update to go live, but there have been some delays, so I decided to just release the patch notes and just get a conversation going and get you guys excited about the upcoming changes. And we don't have a timeline for, I say we, Pure doesn't have a timeline for the update, but I'm hoping that it'll come in the next few weeks or so. So he says, I want you to discuss these balance changes as some of them will be fairly controversial, which is true. That's what the test server is for, so we're going to embark on that conversation. And we'll start with full Cs. Receiving a host of nerfs. Player water walking is dependent upon taking damage, indicated by a water shield. Until then, the player will lose water walking if damage is taken while standing on the water until their next turn. Dive, Waterlord, and Trolls has a two-turn recharge. Okay, so I can show you guys this water shield. I just need to grab full Cs first. And let's get Shock Bomb as well so that I can damage myself. But basically, you take Familiar and it'll give you 5 of a little water shield. This is not a prot shield, don't get that confused. So every turn I Q, I'll gain 5 water shield, 10, 15, 20. If I'm level 2, I'll gain 10 per turn. Level 3, I'll gain 15 per turn, 4, 20 per turn, and then 5, 25 per turn. If you're on the water and you take damage beyond this water shield, so if I take more than 20 damage, more than 30 damage, then I will sink. Okay, so we'll test this out. I'll get on the water here. I have 30 water shield, and I'm going to Shock Bomb myself. I did this earlier too. I messed it up. Okay, so I'm going to take 80 damage there. Again, it's not a prot, and I'm going to sink. Okay, now you can't teleport in because your water shield is gone. But if you haven't took all your levels, you can say, okay, let me take a level. You actually get some water shield. It doesn't show because you're in the water, but then you can teleport in. Okay, so that's kind of a cheeky trick there, but if you don't take any familiar levels, you try to teleport back in on the water, you're going to sink again. Okay, so that's basically how it works. I think it's a neat new concept, and we'll see how that plays out. Dive, having a 2-turn recharge, basically that's saying, okay, no longer can someone hop on a Waterlord and just like spam dive to avoid auras, maelstroms, you know, hide a bunch of, under a bunch of terrain on like Elven or other things like that, right? So we'll continue. Full Fire will not get Meteor Shower. I think that's a good change. It already has strong aerials in Rain of Arrows and Rain of Fire, and so much offense, so no reason to give it so much more offense with the Meteor Shower threat. And on to the next change, Reign of Chaos buff is reverted for full Underdark. What this means basically is that Reign of Chaos was essentially targeted, so all those skulls were raining down directly basically on the opponent rather than just like on graves, how they just kind of disperse. And this doesn't really address Lich healing, which is kind of the core win con of Underdark, but it does provide a nerf in another area, so that's good with me. Sky Castles has no water. The rays will start from the edge of the map, as does Dark Fortress. Kind of cool to check this out. I'll show you guys. You can see that it has no water. Right now you still have the visual water effect that shows up. See, look, it's as if I just jumped into water, but that's a cool change. Obviously it makes sense that if castles are in the air, you're not going to fall into water, right? So that's pretty neat. Okay, Dive has a 3-turn cooldown. Well, okay, so here it says Dive has a 2-turn recharge. Here it says Dive has a 3-turn recharge. I could hop in and test, right, to see, although I can't do that on this map, but I can do it on this map. So let's check to see what the actual amount is, and we're going to go to the side. I don't know why I tried to summon that all the way over there. Come on. Okay, so I'm going to hop on my Lord and test, okay, what's the recharge for Dive, Waterlord Dive. Okay, and looks to be 2 turns. Okay, so let's go back to the patch notes. Looks like I skipped Storm Shield knockback logic has been changed from going the opposite of the border under portal grabbing conditions to none at all. So what this means, and I can show it to you guys briefly here, is you used to be able to portal sync people. Okay, so how this worked is you would go to the side, you'd have your shock shield up, and then you would portal grab someone, and I don't even have portal. All right. So as I was saying, the way this used to work is you could sync people with shock shield and arcane portal. So you go to the side and have shock shield up, and then you would portal grab, and what would happen is when you portal grab before the update, like months ago, this portal would always go the direction of the water. So I would grab here, okay, and then the opponent would go into the water. If I'm over on this side of the map, right, I would grab, and then he would go to the left into the water. Okay, so that was changed so that when you're on the border, the way it is now, if you're not in the test server, is when you're on the border, you're trying to sync someone, they're going to go the opposite direction of the border. So now what you'll have is, let's say if I grab him here, and again I'm on the test server so I can't show this, but he will go to the left, to the opposite direction of the water, right? And if I was over here and I grabbed, he would go to the right, to the opposite direction of the water, to prevent the sync. But the thing is, with sweaty veterans, it doesn't matter. You can still sync someone if they go to the left. You just set it up like this, so that when he's knocked, he knocks into the land and then just falls into the water, and there's a bunch of other configurations that you can do in order to set up this sync. So it didn't really prevent that much, and so what Pure said is the fix, which is good, I think, is he just removes the collision logic, which means there's just no knockback on the spell anymore. Also, I just dropped collision logic in there to sound smart. It's just a random term that I made up. So, look at that. No movement, no knockback on the Storm Shield, and so that way it can't be used to get cheeky, easy syncs where someone's hiding, on the side of a map with a flight prot, and then as long as their opponent's not towered, they can get a really easy sync, at any point. So that's how that mechanic works. Let's head back. Dive has a 3-turn cooldown. We tested it. It's actually 2, it looks like. Morph has a 3-turn cooldown. Gargoyles have been a contentious topic as far as nerfs go. Seem to be pretty overpowered among the high-rated high times community. And they can go up to 100 health, and the morph heals them 25 health per turn. And so there are many ways to nerf this. You could, for example, limit the upper health, the maximum health, 100 to maybe 75. That would have been an option. But Pure went with the cooldown for morph, because previous to this it has no cooldown, so you could just morph your gargoyle, then the following turn unmorph it, and then the turn after that morph it again. So you can't morph it the turn that it's unmorphed, but after that there was nothing stopping you from morphing it again. And so Pure said, okay, we're going to change that and see how the spell looks at that point. Thundershock will work easier against enemies next to you, assuming you don't extend. Sometimes if you extend next to the opponent with Thundershock, the Thundershock will just go straight through them, and this is just a fix to make it work a little bit more intuitively, I guess. Maybe the physics of it makes a bit more sense. If you guys know more about this specific change, let me know in the comments. But that looks to be a minor improvement to Thundershock, so no gripe there with that one. You can glide while in a tower. If you detower while over the water, you'll begin to glide in the direction you are facing. Don't think this is really necessary whatsoever in terms of practical applications, or we need to make this change because it is significantly underpowered, or we need to make this change because that spell is significantly overpowered. So it was just kind of like a random thrown in change. I don't see a lot of practical advantages or reasoning behind it. Besides, oh, this would be cool, which is fine, I guess, but I don't know. I would rather have some logic behind a balance change. And if it's just like, oh, this would be fun, then not really that necessary to make changes like that. Retribution is available turn 1. This is a turn 4 spell right now, not in the test server. And now it's available turn 1. People were kind of saying, well, it's available turn 4, but at the same time, the maximum amount of damage that it can reflect is 50. And so, like, if you mega an opponent with Retribution up, you'll take 50 damage as the one who throws the mega. And that didn't seem like a lot, and so to buff the spell a bit, we can make it available a little earlier. So that works. Clams will explode when they otherwise would sink. This makes some thematic sense, as brine bombs, when they hit the water, they will also explode. And so brine bomb is a sea spell, clams are a sea spell, just make them do the same thing, right? On to the next one. Towers cast within 4 turns of each other will reduce their max hit points by up to 50%. This effect is reduced by 10% each turn. So basically what that means is that towers cast within 4 turns of each other receive a hit point deduction, okay, up to half of their total health. And I guess for each turn that you cast the tower, like if you cast it 1 turn after, then the max hit points will be reduced by 50, and then 2 turns 40%, 3 turns 30%, okay, until that effect has worn off, until the 4-turn duration has run its course. Personally, I don't like this change. Too confusing. Reducing max hit points by half, effect is reduced by 10% each turn. New players, they're just going to hop in here and be like, what the fuck is going on? Why can I not have 2 towers in my book? And, why am I being punished for having 2 towers? So, and I don't particularly think that tower spamming, like more than 2 towers, 3 tower books, 4 tower books have been a really significant issue in the game recently, so I think this one I would prefer to not see go through. Moving on, Lich will not heal off of towers. I think this is great. It reminds me of a mechanic with Blood Bank where when you do damage to a tower, you don't heal from the damage to the tower, you only heal from the damage to the player. Okay, so this is a bit thematic. It makes some sense in the context of other changes and mechanics that are present in the game now. And I think that's one key indicator of a good, productive update. So moving on, Redo will only apply to yourself or team when using the Cogs familiar. This is great. You'd think you would want to have a spell that will benefit your team. And let's say you're in an 8v8 casino game right now, pre-test server, and you pop Redo, and then the other team gets all their level 3s. You're benefiting the other team just as much, if not more, than your team. So I think this is a great change. And as always, let me know in the comments, guys, if you like or particularly dislike any of these changes, and we can get some nice discussions going. I'd be down to engage in a lot of productive discussions about some of these more controversial and even some of the less controversial changes. So definitely head to the comments and air your grievances, so to speak. And while you're in the comments, if you will take a moment to like and subscribe the video, I really appreciate all the support. And yeah, we're on the road to 500, so I would appreciate you guys dropping a sub. Thanks so much. Alright, so we're going to continue on. Ice Bomb is not available until turn 6. This is, I think, a needed change because as it stands right now, Ice Bomb can do essentially up to nearly 200. I saw it do 199 in a tournament game recently, and it can be thrown out as early as turn 4, and so that just gives the opponent really no counterplay, basically. On turn 4, you have limited tools to deal with the threat of a 199 damage spell, any spell. let alone a bomb. So yeah, good overall. These next two changes, probably the most controversial. Flight is not available until turn 4 if the time is greater than 10 seconds, and glide is not available until turn 4. So this is done partly in an effort to kind of deviate away from the dominant flight prop meta. A lot of the OG players in particular and new players will often complain about how strong and defensive flight protection shield is. And so part of this change is to kind of combat the strength of flight and mix up the meta here. And I initially thought that, yeah, losing flight early would really hurt 7 seconds and 10 seconds matches, but it looks like Pure took that into account and said, okay, it's not available until turn 4 if the time is greater than 10s. So this is something that I think we need to give it some time to just see how it is. Let the update drop, play it for a few weeks, give our honest opinions, and then it can be adjusted, right? So keep in mind, guys, that these changes, no matter how major or extreme or controversial, they're not set in stone, okay? So you could have a change that comes along that's absolutely, completely antithetical to your playstyle, and it just destroys it, and you just want to quit the game, fuck everyone, this sucks. And really, it could be changed. It's not the end of the world. You can make your honest case. It's valuable to say, look, I really enjoyed this mechanic and now I don't play the game as much because of it. And I think that, because of XYZ, we shouldn't have implemented this change. Pure will see that and take it into consideration. He'll engage in a conversation with you, as will other members of the community. So yeah, give this one a chance. We'll see how it goes. And that's really all I have to say on that topic. We'll just have to wait and see. Whisper Arrow not available until turn 4. This is solid. Previously it was turn 2, which I think is okay. Yeah, I'm a little indifferent. I said it was solid, but I don't know. I don't care too much. I don't use Whisper Arrow a ton. Rushers probably would say it's a bit too big of a nerf. That's turn 4 is turn 5 for the person who goes first. So that seems like a long time to wait for your Whisper Arrow. But at the same time, it makes sense in the context of, okay, flight is also not available until turn 4. So both of those are kind of being nerfed simultaneously to kind of match. Okay, if flight's being nerfed, then you can't fly away from an early Whisper Arrow before turn 4. So they're both being introduced at the same time. So in that context, it makes sense. Summon Pegasus is 4 uses, also a bit of a controversial take there. The issue with Pegasus is basically the size of it, first of all, and on Grassy, for example, how it basically just perfectly fits along the side of the map to promote incredibly simple stalling without something like Pebble Shot. And beyond that, 100 health, a lot of drain food. It has a protection shield, so you can have even more drain food. And so, as a result, Pure is mixing that up the meta a bit by making Pegasus 4 uses. And again, this is something that I use Pegasus all the time, and I could get really upset about this, and the game is ruined, and my playstyle is invalidated, etc. Or I could just say, you know what, I'm going to wait for the update to drop and run some books with Pegasus, see if it's still viable, and go from there. I do think that just like with Ice Shield, right around when you get to turn 45, maybe turn 40, maybe turn 50-ish, you're going to run out of the Pegasus, you're going to run out of the Ice Shields, right? And then that makes your book more difficult to close with. But at the same time, without those limits of the Ice Shield and the Pegasus, then it just turned into a lot of draws. And so we may see the nature of late game 60G change. I'm curious to see exactly how it does change. But we'll see. Next change, Forest Seed starts with 15 less health every time you cast it. So starts with 75 the first time, 60 the second, 45 third, 30 fourth, 15 the fifth, and 0 the sixth. ugh, too confusing. You know what's going on there? I mean, a new player comes in and uh, wait, why does my tree die so quick? You know, oh, that's because that it starts with 15 less health every time you cast it. Uh, what? When did you cast the tree? How many trees did you cast before in the game? Do you think they're going to be able to answer that and be like, oh yes, this was my 4th cast of Forest Seed in the game, therefore the tree has 30 health, or whatever. So I don't know. It's a little bit confusing and unnecessarily confusing, I'll say. One change that you could do instead is just, I don't know, make Forest Seed have 50 health instead of 75, just a flat 50. I think that would be potentially a more simple attempt at a nerf. So that's what I would go for instead of this 75, 60, 45, etc. Pattern. Herd Mentality is not available until turn 6, and the summon boar will start with the same health as the one that summoned it. So, Herd Mentality is the spell that Summon Boar gets, and it allows them to summon an additional boar. And previously that's available turn 1, and so you summon a boar, the following turn you can bring a second boar out. Especially in high times, but even in low times, not so much, but particularly high times, it's a lot to have. It's a big tempo gain to have a second minion, and that doesn't even end your turn. And so this is a significant nerf, not available until turn 6. And then also, if your boar has 20 health, then the Herd Mentality boar will have 20 health, which previously it would always be at 40, even if your boar was at 1 health. So that is a welcome nerf, I think. Boars are pretty strong. Swarm is limited to 1. You know, my honest opinion here is like, just pick one. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, we've had 2 swarms, we've had 1 swarm, we've had unlimited swarms, it seems like. I'm pretty sure we've had all those. And so we just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then, as a result of limiting it to 1, you have a group of people that will complain. As a result of limiting it to 2, you'll have a group of people that will complain. As a result of opening up swarms to just be available, you can have as many as you want, you're going to have a group of people complain. And so, as a result of complaints, oh, we're going to go back to requiring 2, or we're going to go back to requiring 1. Oh, people complain now, we're going to go back to 2 again. And it's just like, well, what's the point? You know, just a lot of wasted time. And when there's that much controversy over a specific spell, I think we just need to find a middle ground. Is it 2? Is it 1? I don't know. We need to have that discussion and just stick with it, right? And just conversation over. We're done. We're not touching Swarm, okay? Unless some other unrelated spells come about or books that somehow impact Swarm in a significant way, right? But yeah, I think we just need to decide. Are we going to limit it to 1 and keep it that way for years or not? Additions. Book of Sands. A very cool book. I previewed it. I'll put a card up in the top right so you guys can check that out. I went over every single spell as well as the familiar effects. Very cool. New map, Desert, has an alternate generation setting of just pyramid blocks. And I'll show you guys this. It's really cool. So we go into the test server. Oops, wrong button. And you'll see, how do you do this? Okay, you left click, map style, alternate map generation. Okay, so this is the default, Desert. Let's hop in here and you'll see. I've got multi-controlled teams on, but check out this map, very cool. Okay, and then to change to the alternate map generation, you left click the map style, alternate map generation, and you see it changes to the pyramid. Okay, this is also very cool. Look at this, super sweet. You can hop up here and, you know, it's like a bit of a maze. It reminds me of like, I don't know, you know those games where you like destroy the blocks, like bric-a-brac and different things? We could like come up with an Arcanist mini game where we shoot balls at these desert blocks and they are destroyed. Anyway, very cool. Check that out. Play some big games with your friends once that drops, or hop into the test server. And then, yeah, that's your alternate map setting. And also you can change it so that the map has water, ground, or no water. Okay, so that's also pretty neat. And yeah, we're gonna head back, check out the notes. All right, so we were down to additions. New map desert has the alternate generation setting, which is awesome. Can change any map to have water, solid ground, or nothing at the bottom, as I showed. Here it says rated Q can have preset settings for each ladder that can be searched for outside of the normal settings. So it looks like Pure is going to set a server setting, server preset for rated Q, and he sets it himself, and you'll be able to just hop into that preset and, you know, go nuts. So 30 ocean, you know, he sets that preset, you hop in and select it, and you're good to go. Have fun. A cool addition, I think. Really gets the community involved. Oh, we have a server preset. Now I'm motivated to get better at that specific time, at that specific map. A lot of people are going to be playing it, you know. So, can set a list of spells to be included in everyone's book, such as Arcane Gate. These spells will only be added if not already in their book. This is cool for just maybe team games or casino settings. So you want certain spells to be included in everyone's book when you search up. Possibly more relevant when you're doing random spells. You can select certain spells to be in the book and the rest random. So might be interesting. Some obscure game settings. No minion movement. No minions start with spells. Disable terrain destruction, which means when I flash, the flash won't destroy land. Disable damage to enemies, intended for fun game modes like the Arcanist Olympics. So for example, where we do like Dark Knight laddering, and we ladder with storm spirits up to the top, or when you have like races, so on crystals, you know, or fortress, and you use aura to, you know, zone your opponent. When they jump into the aura, they won't take damage, things like that. Prestige can go up to level 255, so there's essentially no bound for prestige anymore. I'm trying to think, in my personal opinion, I don't really go for prestige. I just go for the gameplay. Prestige is never really something that motivated me as a player. I'm more focused on the individual improvement, the gameplay, and somewhat devoted to rating. Sorry, that took me a minute to think about, but so neither here nor there for me. It does kind of invalidate the value of prestige. You know, you can just go up to wherever, and I guess getting 255 would be quite an insane achievement, but seems like unreachable, basically. Tower health is displayed on the player panel. With the tower changes, this seems necessary. Well, I'd argue without the tower changes even, but you know, I'm not a proponent of the tower changes above. But I do feel like tower health being included is a valuable addition. Achievements menu shows how many you have attained. This is another solid quality of life improvement. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the major balance changes and additions for this upcoming patch. Please let me know your comments, thoughts, concerns, questions, maybe things you're looking forward to, things you're not looking forward to. And yeah, I'll say overall I would like to see, as far as the content of updates goes, a focus less on balance now and more on quality of life and tutorials and spell descriptions and user interface improvements and all these other aspects of the game that can be improved to benefit new players. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this overview, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.